Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel, and this next great comic book video has been brought to you in part by the fine folks over at livefitfood.ca. Look, whether you're a YouTuber or a bricklayer, I think we can all agree prepping food that is both tasty and good for you kinda sucks week to week. Thankfully, there's a company like this out there that takes all the hard work and all the guesswork out of it for you, whether you're trying to lose weight, gain muscle, or you're keeping things nice and keto like I do. Live Fit Food has you covered. They've got so many different plans, flexible deals, and this month they hooked me up not only with 12 great meals to start with, but a great promo code for you out there watching. Yes, that's right. If you use the code JOELDAILY20, you will get 20% off your first order. And be sure to watch the Comic Multiverse podcast because we will be giving away even more off, up to $50, and you can check that out all here. So with that out of the way, let's hop on into the video.
What happens when the devious and destructive Devil Hulk hops its way inside the body of Peter Parker? Well, let's hop into the pages of Immortal Hulk Great Power issue number 1 and find out together, shall we? So, as we join the comic, Bruce Banner, purple pants and all, wakes up in a ditch. Not the first time this has happened to him, and certainly not the last time. What's weird, though, is that it's nighttime and the Hulk hasn't come out to play. Yes, for those who haven't been reading Immortal Hulk, and if you haven't, shame on you, the Devil Hulk persona may be one of the more evil of Bruce's Hulk personas, acts more or less like a werewolf, only coming out at night. It seems that whatever happened to Banner that he can't quite remember happened to Spider-Man too, because he's nearby. It's at that moment Spider-Man begins hulking out, and man, his costume's a lot stronger than you give it credit for because it holds up. Spider-Man goes on a rage-fueled rampage across the city, swinging and smashing as he goes, all the while yelling about Norman. Interesting, Spider-Man at his most hulked out anger, his brain seems to drift to the Green Goblin. I guess it makes sense as he's still probably his greatest foe of all time. Now, Banner knows full well that he can't deal with a hulked out Spider-Man on his own, and because of that decides to call in the cavalry in the form of the Fantastic Four. This is interesting and probably gives us a good idea about where this comic is placed in time, because the Fantastic Four aren't judgy about Banner right now becoming more or less a Metal Gear villain in the pages of the main Immortal Hulk book. This also gives the writer a blank check to restage one of the Marvel Universe's most beloved matchups, that being the Hulk versus the Thing, only this time the Thing ends up winning a decisive victory. We can just chop that up to Spider-Man not knowing how to control his gamma strength just yet. Of course, now that they've knocked out the problem, they have to deal with it, and to do that, they decide to take Spider-Man to an abandoned military base off the coast of New York where they don't have to worry about him smashing everything. Bruce decides to stay behind and be with Peter during this trying time. After all, he knows what it's like to be a Hulk better than anyone else, while the four go back to New York to try and investigate how exactly we got here. The two have themselves a little camp out, talk about the nature of power, you know, that sort of thing. They also joke about all the pairs of pants that Banner has had to go through in his lifetime. Banner manages to survive the whole night alone on an island with a roid-raged Spider-Man for the Fantastic Four to return the next day with evidence as of what went down. It would seem that the Hulk and Spider-Man were just kinda sorta hanging out at one point in New York when they ended up running afoul of Loki, the current king of the Ice Giants, who, despite trying to make a solid go of being a good guy these days, is thoroughly insulted by the Devil Hulk, who says that he's going to choke him with his own entrails. Because of that, Loki decides to do some of that classic mischief he's so known for. Loki banishes the Hulk from Banner's body, but for some reason, a reason of which even Loki isn't 100% sure, the Hulk ended up latching on to Spider-Man instead. This means that when they confront Loki later that same day, who, by the way, he's totally stoked at the idea that this is his first superhero team-up, he can't actually help the good guys because he doesn't really understand how this works, and if he tried to do the same thing again, there's no promise that he wouldn't make it 100 times worse. So, magic having thoroughly failed our heroes, it looks like if they want to get out of this predicament before nightfall again, they're going to have to go with a scientific answer. Luckily, Spider-Man proves to Banner just how smart he is by theorizing that perhaps the Hulk was drawn to Peter because of his own radioactive spider blood. Yeah, I mean, I guess that would make sense, right? Banner says it also tracks with the new power set that he's developed recently thanks to the Green Door and the Devil Hulk. In fact, he's basically turned turned into a gamma vampire these days, being able to suck other radiations out. And maybe the best way to solve this gamma problem is by hurling more gamma radiation at it. Banner thinks if they give him just enough radiation so he can Hulk out on his own, he can suck the Hulk back out of Peter. Naturally, this leads to a big old fight between Spider-Hulk and regular Hulk that the Hulk ends up winning because, well, he's the Hulkest Hulk that ever hulked, don't you know? Once the Devil Hulk is back in control, though, we do end up finding something rather interesting, and that is the Hulk persona is actually fully aware that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. In fact, he even references the retconned events of One More Day, wherein Spider-Man and his friends got everyone else to forget who he was, but apparently that didn't affect the Devil Hulk. Ultimately, though, Spider-Man and the Hulk end up leaving on good terms. The Jade Giant even hangs out with the Web Slinger for a little bit before walking into the ocean like he was frickin' Godzilla as the comic comes to a close. And so that was Immortal Hulk Great Power issue number 1, and apparently it's the first of a bunch of new one-shot Hulk stories they have coming down the pipeline by Superstar creative teams. Which from a business standpoint makes a lot of sense. The Hulk brand and the Hulk book has never been hotter than it has been right now under Al Ewing, and because they're not going to create a brand new Hulk book, why not do some one-shots? How was this story, though, from Tom Taylor? It was fine. Again, I feel like maybe the writer had more ideas here, but only had a one-shot to tell it, so a lot of stuff kind of gets breezed over too quickly. Like, the Devil Hulk in the main Immortal Hulk series is kind of a malevolent figure and everything, with some sinister plots and ideas, and is very different than the other Hulks, but, you know, the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man just treat him like anyone else. We don't really get to be in Peter's head that much and see what being under the influence of the Hulk does to him, and the fact that they move him away from society so quickly, no one's really in danger. I mean, I guess it's cool from a science fiction point of view, seeing all these smart characters put their heads together and come up with a solution, but even then they come up with it so quickly. Overall, I'd give this a 7 out of 10.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Jewel, and if you're seeing me right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, which I am very appreciative of. It really helps drive engagement and retention and all that other good YouTube stuff. So does liking and commenting. Wink wink. If you like my content too, you should check out my Patreon page. We just redid all the tiers, so there's a ton of great rewards. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month, and well, it would just really help me out. It's never expected, but always appreciated. So until next time everyone, I've been Cape Joel, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.